Hello students, today I am going to start our chapter number 9 of history, that is vital villages, thriving towns. So here we are going to start with first urbanization in 4th century. So here in India the first urbanization took place during the Indus Valley civilization. The first cities emerged at this time due to use of bronze. After 500 years, new cities began to take shape, and this was due to use of iron. So here we can see the first topic is that spread of iron. So around 1000 BCE, iron was found in Dharwad district, that is in Karnataka. At the same time, the use of iron appeared in eastern Punjab, western Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. So, next is second urbanization in eastern India. Second urbanization means towards the end of the Vedic period, knowledge of iron spreads in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Videha. So major developments such as the growth of agriculture and trade, numerous arts and craft, increased use of coins as money led to the growth of several new towns and cities. This phase is termed as the second urbanization. So the change from rural life to urban life is known as urbanization. All these developments were a result of a greater use of iron. Next heading is iron tools and agriculture. So agriculture was the chief main of livelihood of the later Vedic people. As the use of iron increased, it was also shaped into various tools and implements. The largest collection of iron tools and weapons were found in the megalithic burials. Next is use of iron implements. The iron axes might have been used to clear the forest, and the iron for plowshare replaced the wooden ones, which was useful for increasing agriculture production. New techniques in farming. With the invention of new and finer tools, new methods of agriculture came into picture. The Vedic people continued to produce barley, but during this period, rice and wheat became their chief crops. Next is craft and craftspeople. So the leather work, pottery and carpentry made great progress. The most distinctive pottery of the period is known as the northern black polished, which was a type of shiny pottery, usually black in color. Oil pressers, stone workers, metal workers, weavers, goldsmiths, blacksmiths, variety of craftsmen has been recorded. In this time period, we all can learn about these things, the development of crafts. Next here came the cloth making. Manufacturing of cloth was an important activity during that time. Various available texts reveal that manufacturing of cloth was also an important activity that time, and both men and women worked in a cloth industry. And the two important cloth manufacturing centers were Banaras in the north and Madurai in the south. So another remarkable feature that I want to tell you, that is to notice, craft people often settled near sources of raw material. For example, carpenters settled near the forest areas, metal workers near the source of ores, etc. So why they are taking this place near about the forest? The carpenters are the workers who work on wood, so they need wood, and it is easily found in the forest. Next is trade. What the trade is. With the increased urbanization and agriculture production, there was a growth in both internal and external trade. Pali text refers to the many sea voyages regarding trade. The principal seaports were here. There were many seaports which are useful for trade. And after agriculture, trade gradually became an important source of revenue. Next is overseas trade. What does the overseas trade mean? Trade was carried on with the West Asia, East Asia, China and Rome. The chief articles of trade were silk. Whatever the articles that was the mainly used, that was silk, embroidery, ivory, jewelry and gold and precious stones. In return, India received gold and silver coins, silver ornament, wine, etc. Next is discovery of Roman coins in India. A large number of Roman coins have been discovered at various sites in the Indian peninsula. Next, the Roman settlements could be seen in many trading centers such as Archimedu, Supara and Bharuch. Guilds. What are the guilds? During this period, many craft people and merchants formed associations known as shrines and guilds. Shrines of merchants organized the trade. Membership to the guild was hereditary. Next is concept of banking emerged. Shrines also functioned as a banks where rich people deposited their money and that was invested, and part of the interest was returned or used to support religious institutions such as monasteries. And there were different types of shrines for different trade and craft. Each shrine had its own rules and regulations. In some places, these shrines also exercised political influence. With course of time, some guilds developed into castes. Next is coins. Coins. Archaeologists have found several thousands of coins belonging to this period. Thousands of coins belonging to this periods are the main resource that we are finding here. To the earliest coins which were in use for about 500 years were punch marked coins. The extensive use of coins increased trade both within the subcontinent and with other countries. Next is sources of second urbanization. First one is Jatak tales. The Jataka tales is a collection of stories dating to the time of the Buddha, more than 2500 years ago. The learned Jataka storytellers known as Jataka Bhankas, and that would be, you can say, would travel far and wide to propagate the message of kindness, compassion, generosity, non-violence, self-sacrifice, charity, refraining from greed, etc. Next is sculpture, that another source which provides information about people living during this period as sculptures. Many of these sculptures found the part of decoration on the railing, pillars and gateways of buildings that were visited by the people. Next is archaeology. Archaeologists have discovered that some of the cities were surrounded by massive fortification walls. In some other cities, rows of pots or ceramic rings arranged one on top of the other were found. These are known as ring wells. These ring wells are usually found in individual houses. Next topic is Sangam literature. And some of the earliest works in Tamil were compiled around 23,000 years ago and were known as Sangam literature. And these texts throw light on the trading activities of the rising villages and towns. There has been a mention of exchange of white paddy or salt, which shows that crops were also a medium of exchange. Travelogues. Several cities and the main towns or commercial centers were explored by the sailors and travelers, and the Periplus of the Aegean Sea is a Greco-Roman text written by an unknown Greek sailor. He described all the Indian ports that he visited. Next here is, first I want to tell you the fact. The name Periplus is applied for a class of writing in Roman times, which was a combination of sailing chart and traveler's handbook. It can be translated as a guidebook, and the term Aegean Sea is applied by Greek and Roman geographers for the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf. Although Eretha means red, historical records indicate the Erythraeans translate as the Sea of King Erythras of a Persian legend. Next heading is here, villagers and their occupation. In villages, most of the people were farmers. The farmers were categorized under the three divisions. The first one is in southern India. Here the large landowners were known as Velarars. Next is ordinary plugmen were known as Ujavras. Third one is landless laborers, including slaves, were known as Kadisra and Admiral. In northern India, the village headman or the largest landowner was known as the Grambhojka, and the king often used him to collect taxes. He would sometimes perform the duties of a policeman and a judge. Next is landowners emerged. The independent smaller landowners and farmers were known as Grahapatis, and people without land were called Das Karmakar. They had to work on others' field in order to earn a living. Apart from these, in most villages, there were also some craftsmen such as blacksmith, potter, carpenter and weaver. Next here is this religious centers such as Mathura, Banaras, Ayodhya, important centers of art and craft such as Vaishali in Bihar and Banaras in UP. Important industrial centers such as Kodumanali in Tamil Nadu. So these were the important urban centers. Next here, the Mathura. Mathura was an important flourishing town for the following reason. The first one, it was located at the crossroad of two major routes of travel and trade. It was also a center where some extremely fine sculptures were produced. Next is Barigaj of Bharuch. The Greek name of Bharuch is Barigaj, and the city was known as the Brikucha at that time. It was one of the most important port centers of ancient India, and it's important such as wine, copper, tin, lead and coral tops. All the things that I am telling were and you can say cotton, silk and perfumes also were found over here. It exports such as plants from the Himalayas, and the special gifts such as silver vessels, fine wines and fine cloth were bought by the sailors for the royalty. It was probably the way of paying tribute to the king for appointing them on a such important post. And next, elsewhere at the same time means at other place at the same time, Rome is one of the oldest city in the Europe, developed around the same time as the cities in Ganga Valley. So during this, you can say during the age of Renaissance, Rome was the center of language, culture, fine arts, and many more activities. Here it's a case study, that is a Archimedes. So on the southern east coast of India, that is Pondicherry, is the most famous archaeological site in southern India. The city was a manufacturing hub of textiles, particularly of muslin cloth, terracotta object. Muslin cloth is a small the cloth that is very soft, and terracotta objects, jewelry made from beads and precious and semi-precious stones, glass and golds. So these kind of things that are found over here, and you can see the city had an extensive glass bead manufacturing facility and is considered as the mother of all bead centers in the world. So, a massive brick structure, which may have been a warehouse, was found at the site. Roman lamps, glassware, and gems, pottery from the Mediterranean region, such as amphirate, and stamped red gaze pottery from Italy, known as the Aretine, were have been found here. And hope you all have understood the chapter. Thank you.